Hello and a very warm welcome to the first call. We've got so much to enjoy this evening, of course, with 6 stakes races coming your way on New Year's Day. And what a treat we are in for. I'm joined as always by Aidan Rodley and also Jason Tan. And with Brendan Popwell at Taupo, of course, it's great to be here with you guys.
Always good having you along,
Absolutely.
Emily. Happy New Year to you and Aidan. Don't know how you guys have pulled up post the Christmas festivities, but somehow wardrobe has lost the top button of my shirt. But aside from that, it was a huge day of racing at Boxing Day at Ellerslie and also around the country at Awapuni and Wingatui, and looking forward to the same on New Year's Day.
Absolutely. Great to see James McDonald here and winning that Group 1 with True Enough, who was a really deserving winner of the Zabeel Classic. Used some performances on that undercard too, and just shaping like a very similar type day this weekend with New Year's Day racing. We've got the Railway at Group 1, some really good Group 2s and then Group 3s and others as well. So that Dunstan Final, of course, has the new promotion as well, where 21 years of Dunstan sponsoring that race, where they get the money to the trainer to spend at the yearling sales as well. So there's a bit going on there.
Nice prize.
That's certainly a good bonus. Plenty of talking points during the week. One of them actually just came out today, which is, of course, Butch Castles heading over to the position of CEO at the Waikato Racing Club.
Yeah, it's a big move for him, isn't it? He replaces Ken Rutherford, who's gone to, I think, Hawkesbury to take up a similar role there. But Butch has obviously carved out a pretty good niche as a really well-respected racing administrator through Ellis, I think, Otaki earlier on, and Hastings most recently. And yeah, he'll be a really good addition to the Te Rapa team.
Yeah, that's a really big movement, really. With Ken Rutherford going, I'm sure the Waikato Racing Club would be very, very happy to have a man of Andrew Castle's calibre, Butch Castles. They've really, you think maybe Tim Mills in the South Island is similar experience that is still in the game, but there wouldn't be anyone more sought after for a role like that than Butch.
We were having a little talk before the show came on air about our highlights of the decade, and Jason, we'll start with you. As we head into 2020, we wrap up, of course, 10 years of fun. What's your highlight?
It's not an easy one, because racing obviously is such an amazing sport that covers so many different countries, distances, fillies, mares, colts, geldings, but I couldn't look past Winx, the fact that she won 33 straight and 25 Group 1s from the time that she raced within this decade that we're about to say farewell to. Just an amazing horse, and amazingly handled by Chris Waller and mostly by Hugh Bowman. Plenty of jockeys with little side stories to say that I rode Winx once, including the great Joe Moreira, who was the last to lose on her. Not a great record to have, but even a guy like Jason Collett, who could say that he was a part of the Winx story. But she was sort of the story of the decade for mine.
What about for you, Aidan?
Obviously, when you talk about Winx, we were there after her last day of retirement, and Chris Waller paraded her at Rosehill the next morning, and we happened to be there and just watched her for half an hour, stood in Winx's presence for half an hour, which was pretty cool. I really loved, obviously, Mongolian Khan was a horse who I just loved watching develop from, a horse who became a Derby winner on both sides of the Tasman, a Caulfield Cup winner, and now it's studs. So his story was a pretty cool one for me. What about you, Ian?
The highlight of my decade is your celebration when Mongolian Khan won. That was pretty epic. If I could ever do a celebration.
Pretty special to win a Caulfield Cup.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes.
Where did we find that from? That was right there.
Oh, it's awesome.
When you watch it, I know it's you probably sort of think it's out there, but clearly there's a lot of pride
You
there,
went
isn't there?
viral as well.
How proud were you, given everything you've done as a jockey manager?
Oh, it was pretty cool. I was obviously just more rap for Opie to get through and do it all. I hate seeing that vision, so I wish we hadn't brought it up prior to going live.
But look, you do the speed maps for the show. Like you would have had a big chat with Opie before the Caulfield Cup and discussed tactics, and you mapped that race, and he got in the 1-1 essentially and gave it the gun run.
Just a brilliant ride, wasn't it? So obviously that was pretty cool, just to see Opie, who hadn't won a Group 1 race for I think about 16, 17 years in Australia, get back over there and start winning Group 1s again.
And
was
so
pretty
unexpected,
cool.
I remember at the time. I mean, he wasn't even a chance. His run in the Rosehill Guineas was so below par. Watch him bounce back is pretty cool.
Yes.
Let's
Yours?
move it. Mine. Oh, well, God, can you not guess?
Oh,
surely
done
you
deal?
know. Yeah,
It's a done
he
deal.
fits into that 10-year period, so that's yeah, of course. And everybody would have guessed that. Let's move along into our show, and we're going to kick things off with the first call jackpot competition. And as always, the important thing about the competition is that it's a Facebook live stream competition, so you have to be on the live stream and comment while the show is on. And the last time I was on, it was week one, $100 in the bank, and $400 now. It's certainly
getting
a
up
nice
there.
prize.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
there's been a few best bets thrown out by Aidan and Brendan Popwell, and that staved off the competition, the
think
would-be
yours in the
winners.
first weekend
yes,
as well,
that
so,
carried us
you
through as
got
well.
good pressure
So
on.
pretty straightforward. Obviously, everyone carries the phone and watches TV, and probably shouldn't be doing it at the movies, but some people do that as well. So easy to log on to Facebook and tip your best for New Year's Day, and you might be lucky enough to get selected and win that $400 bonus bet if your horse wins and tops ours.
And if you don't, you get the $50 anyhow. So
Anyway,
you're going
yeah.
we've given out 3 $50 bonus bets anyhow to viewers who have been
Which you could
for
turn
this
into
live
anything,
stream.
really,
Absolutely,
couldn't you? And
absolutely.
the important thing is if it's it rolls on, doesn't it? So $100 again next time we
Yeah,
go.
it goes
Could go
Yep.
up to 500.
Yep.
Pretty exciting. Let's Group 1 action coming your way on New Year's Day, and we'll kick off with the Railway as our first race to have a little look at. We can have a look at the market for you over the 1,200 metres, and as you can see, Julius at $4.80. You've got Winter Bride at $5.50. Sixes for Media Sensation. Couple of them there in that middle market, Volpe Veloce being one of those. Princess Kiraru, bottom of the page for Dama Zorro. Is it a Julius race? I was pretty buoyed by what James McDonald said on weigh-in with regards to Winter Bride, and when you look back at that form, you Loving Gabby, Nature Strip, I mean, they'd give any of our sprinters windburn, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, I spoke to him straight after he'd got off for that exhibition gallop, which we'll show you very shortly on Boxing Day, and he was talking in pretty sort of buoyant tones. So he was pretty happy with the way she's going. It's an interesting form line, isn't it? How did you see?
Well, we've got a decent line with her with the Bostonian, and the Bostonian lined up against her a couple of times. It did have her covered. He had better runs and draws than her, but she isn't exactly drawn well for the Railway, Aidan. Like in terms of speed and the shape of the race, how did you see it?
Yeah, so I have mapped the first and second emergencies here, so just bear that in mind. I don't think it's going to make any difference with Spring Heat because she's there and the other one's Ronki who I've got out wide. So I don't think it changes the shape of the race in any extent. Speedy immediately goes forward to lead from one with the Bride. I just thought from the draw they can press forward and sit on the outside. Media Sensation, I think they'll be really positive there. Carly, as Destiny's Child, has a tricky barrier draw, and I think they can get Julius somewhere near there. There's not an abundance of speed, but it is a railway. It's at 1,200 metres from the trickiest start point in New Zealand, and they will be certainly pushing to find positions.
One thing with Winter Bride is that she does have the ability to jump and go.
I saw that in her replay.
Yeah,
She just jumps. She came back in that last run that she had, but when they jumped, she was right there.
Yeah, and the Manicato, she
Yeah.
jumped well, and from the draw, basically, the jockey looked inside and saw a lot of others that wanted to kick up. There's not that pressure in a New Zealand Group 1
No.
sprint. So if James McDonald finds the outside the lead position, then he's going to be a very hard man to run down on her. So that's the challenge for other riders in the race, what they choose to do.
I think it's really crucial that James is on the horse as well, because you're not having an Australian jockey come on who's maybe not familiar with Ellerslie. You've got somebody who knows Ellerslie like the back of his hand and has the horse to navigate.
Absolutely, because it is a track that does have a few tricks as well. But the horse has been here for a few weeks now, by all accounts. Has had a couple of zips around Ellerslie. I think it's been under Nigel Tyler's care, and by all accounts is training really well.
Let's kick off some of our replays, and we can start things off with probably our best New Zealand hope in Julius. This was a pretty impressive performance as well. If there's a horse that could give Winter Bride a run for its money, Julius may be the one.
It's a very good performance from Julius, and Jason Waddell was very kind on the galloper this occasion. I'd say old boy, I guess he is 8 years old now, without wanting to be derogatory to the son of Swiss Ace, but look, does he quite have the dash and the speed that he needs over 1,200? I think the big factor is that he only has to carry 56. He's been carrying 60 kilo the last two starts of this preparation, so that 4 kilos off under the conditions of the race is a big positive for Julius. I know he's a big horse and weight less significant for a horse like him, but still, that's a good relief.
Absolutely. There's a couple of things about that, isn't it? The weight release should mean that he's able to quicken a little bit better. And the other thing is John Bell's been able to get the 1,400 metre race under his belt, then just back off. Because you look at that and think, well, if it's a week later, you'd be really worried about getting back to the 12. But because he really doesn't quicken like we know he's capable of. But he's a horse who looks as though he's going to be a whole lot sharper with 2 runs under his belt after the long injury break. He loves Ellerslie. He's been there 6 times for 5 wins and a minor placing. And he's only been out of the money once in his career, and that was that first up race after a long break. You've just got to have a lot of respect for him. Jason Waddell knows him, and he's going to get, I think, an okay run from that draw.
We can have a look at the next replay, which is of Media Sensation and Princess Kiriru. Media Sensation did finish second this day. Were we disappointed with this? Do we think Media Sensation is a genuine chance in the railway?
It's a fair question whether you're disappointed, because it's all relative, isn't it? In fairness, she was sent out $2.50, which is short enough in a field like this. She was expected to win. She didn't. However, Yearn has beaten her and has been in very good form in her own right, and is one of the favourites for the Richhill Mile. I love the run of Princess Kiriru out wide here. Thought it was a super run. It was the run to me of a horse that could win a railway, and she has been very competitive in our 1,200 metre sprints in the past. So at her price, I sort of would be erring towards Princess Kiriru than Media Sensation. That said, Media Sensation has to be amongst the leading chances. It's that sort of race.
There's not a lot between them, and once again we're showing you a video of these horses going over 1,400 metres and now having to drop back to the 12 of a railway. But obviously Princess Kiriru was doing some good things at the end of that. She ran second in this race last year. Bevan Ken Kelso won the race with Bounding going back into 2014 and produced Perfect Fit to run second a couple of years ago. Media Sensation wasn't bad after doing all the donkey work in the race as well, so I wouldn't be riding her off.
We talked in depth earlier on about Winter Bride and that exhibition gallop at Ellerslie on Boxing Day. We do have vision of that, and it's probably worth having a little look at. There was plenty of whispers around the track about the slick work that this horse did, and I know you spoke to James afterwards, but handled Ellerslie well as well.
Absolutely. Ran the last 600 of this gallop in 33.5, so was doing it really nicely, and James said would take so much out of it. He said that she was bright, and that she was loving Ellerslie, loving being there, and she was a good fit for there. So I know he was really, really pleased with the gallop. And when you get a bloke like that, happy with an exhibition gallop or with any working gallop like that, you've got to take note.
Success of Australian horses in the railway previously?
The most recent was Atomic Force going back to 2012, and he was a Galaxy winner before he arrived over here. A Gold Trail won it a few years before that, and the Pentire Mare... Recurring, she won it.
That was a little while ago now.
Yeah.
That was
so that's
definitely not this decade.
Yeah, 3 in the last 2 decades, though. So not too many have come. More have come for a Telegraph, I think.
Yeah, often the Telegraph has been a race. And look, I suppose she fits the profile of being good enough. I don't know that I want to be taking $5.50 from Barrier 11, even though James McDonald basically owned Ellerslie on Boxing Day, and if he's positive and get her out, he could own this race by sitting outside of the leader. I'm just reluctant to really dive into the $5.50, but, she deserves to be, again, one of the horses to beat. I'm going to say that about this race. Basically, my theme is that there are half a dozen chances, and it's maybe even 7, and it's a case of picking the horses at the right price. I mean, I love Julius, he's a great horse, but I don't think I'll be backing him.
Okay.
I don't think I'll be backing Winter Bride, but look, if you like her and you think, $5.50 is good enough, then fill your boots. But I'll be backing a few others at odds.
There is another form line that it's probably worth taking a look at, and this is of Dama Zorro, Speedy Meaty and Dawn Patrol. You can have a look at Dawn Patrol 6, Dama Zorro winning, Speedy Meaty in 3rd. What do we make of this one?
I thought she was super. I really think she's going really well. She's only had 1 miss in her last 10 starts, and that she hasn't run 1st or 2nd, I think, and that was in an Easter handicap when she was stepping up at the end of her preparations of 1,600 metres. I think 1,200 was more her go. Really liked what we saw from Dawn Patrol out wide in the black and white stripes, and Dawn Patrol comes in 4.5, I think it is, kilograms better.
3.5
kilograms
Zorro,
it is, better. So, and that was a race that did favour those on speed. It's been a really good race. I know the Concord was there before this race took over, and with the Concord was moved to Karaka Million Day. 4 of the last 5 winners of the railway have come through this 1,200 metre sprint at Ellerslie in December. So it is a key form line. The last 2 winners have come through it, so you've got to respect that form line.
there's a horse there that I'm really keen to have a little bit on, and that's Dawn Patrol. When you look at how that race panned out for him from a wide draw, they just elected to ride him cold back, and he finished off more quickly than Damazoro, and they didn't really go that hard. So, you know, it was a reasonable line overall, that run home. So he's in great order, and I think you're getting $18, $19. And I thought the only question I had with you on the speed map is how far back you had Dawn Patrol. I feel from an inside draw, he's going to be in the first 6 in the race, just in behind the leaders. He's going to be perfectly positioned, and he drops so significantly in weight.
He has a gear change there as well with the Norton bit on, which is obviously used to restrain a horse, so they could maybe ride him forward but still maintain.
And when you look at the
control.
pattern of his preparation, Frank Ritchie has been happy to just back up a little bit and then give him one run, and then he sort of bounds again from that run. And so he had a run where from the draw they took him back last time. I think he's going to be firing and ready to peak on Wednesday, and I think you'll get a better run for your money than those odds suggest.
He finished in the quickest last 600 of that race, drops in weight. He's following exactly the same program that Ryan Mark took in 2016, exactly the same, through the spring sprint into the Rotorua race, into the Ellerslie sprint. So it's just exactly the same program, and it was successful back then. I just think there's so much upside. 19s into 18s. It's the best price in the race. I agree with Jason entirely.
Well, there you go. Heard it here first. There's another horse, though, in the market that I know one Jason Tan is pretty keen on, and that's Volpe Veloce. How did you come to that decision, and tell us why?
Well, at best, Volpe Veloce is the equal of anything in the race. I can't say that definitively with Winter Bride, because just haven't had that line here in New Zealand. But she's a high-class sprinter. I like the fact that she's coming in fresh off a couple of trials. She's going to get a beautifully soft run, probably midfield. She should have won. I mean, she was... Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Melody Bell should have won last year. She wasn't inferior, if at all.
She ran quicker through the last...
That's right. She was an enormous run.
Yeah.
And so hopefully she'll be able to settle just that little bit closer. Look, she's short enough at $7.50, but that just falls within... my pricing for me to have a little bit on her.
Nice.
Endless Drama's an interesting one. In fact, both of Tony Pike's are very interesting. That and Carly. Carly, the 3-year-old, taking her place with no weight against the older horses.
How do we measure up that 3-year-old filly's
She's
form?
not
Is it
far
strong?
off. She's not far off them with the weight allowance. I think 1,200 metres is perfect. It's just whether she can quite handle the pressure of what this race will be. But she's just drifted a little bit, and that's getting to a very tempting price. I've marked her at 18, so she's just outside of a bet. So you might get that on the day if you're getting sort of $20. And if she gets out to that, then I might have a little bit on her too.
Pretty open with regards to the railway. What are we doing with our bets in this one, Aidan?
I'm just going to play on an each-way basis because he's at an each-way price, Dawn Patrol. I think at 18 you just want to be playing on an each-way basis, and I'm happy to do him. He's my top pick in the race as well. I've got him in front of Damazoro, and I'm happy just to have a little go on him. How about you?
I've got three outlays with Volpe Veloce and Princess Kereru. They're sort of similar sort of mares, so they do need a little bit of luck. They're drawn though to get beautifully soft runs. They'll just need luck in the straight. And Dawn Patrol as well was too big a price not to have something on him. So spending 25 units is a decent outlay for one race, and it's possible that I'll run 4th, 5th and 6th. But I'm happy to say that they're the overs at the moment.
Yeah.
We move along to the City of Auckland Cup, which is one of 6 features on the programme from Ellerslie on New Year's Day. The market here, as you can see, Concert Hall $5.50. You've got 5s around Just Amaze, and as we move down that page, Sentimental Miss $7.50, 7s for Pin Me Down. How did we see this one unfolding?
There wasn't quite the same amount of speed as the railway that I thought. Just Amaze obviously led throughout in the last couple over 2,400 metres at Pukekohe, then in the Waikato Cup last time out. And the other key speed influence here I thought was Iskander from a wide gate, the long shot here. Outside that, it'll just be interesting to see what they do with Lady Shabille, I thought, and even Savion Blanc from a wide gate, how positive they are there. It's a lot of go-back horses in this race. So Pin Me Down from a wide gate, Platinum Invader, and what do they do with Concert Hall? They were so good last time out at Manawatu, but obviously a wide gate there. How did you sort of see it?
Well, they rode it positively at Tawapuni, so I don't see why they wouldn't consider that with an even longer run from the 2,400 metre starting point at Ellerslie to that bend. So you know, if they wanted to press the button and push forward, I think there's an opportunity. At least overall with Just Amaze in the race, you'd expect there to be at least a genuine tempo, which I think is a positive for a staying race. He's not going to have it so easy because he has to carry more weight, but look, he looks every bit a stayer. He was super winning at Te Rapa, and if that track comes up a good 3, and all expectations are that with some watering and fine weather, it's going to be ideal like it's been racing all summer there at Ellerslie. It'll be a perfect track for him too.
Let's have a look at some of the replays with regards to form lines into the City of Auckland Cup. We can start off with Concert Hall. This was seriously an impressive win.
Absolutely. And this shows what she's been capable of. We've been waiting for it for a long time. In fact, basically all preparation. When's she going to come and put in a performance like this? And she's been bubbling underneath the surface and just not doing it. She gets a run like she got at Manawatu, and she just left them standing. You got a bit of a theory about her on track conditions.
How significant is that jar out of the ground for her, do you think? Like, how positive is it compared to sort of a good 3? Like, just that slow track, dead to slow track, is that something that takes her to a new level compared to others, or is that just because she's in such good form and no matter what track conditions the stage she would have done that?
It? But I think she's capable of that, but I think you're right that she is potent with a little bit of give in the track. But
and all reports were that there wasn't that give in the track on Boxing Day.
No, that's exactly. Well, you were out there on horseback as well. Is that the way you found it as well?
Yeah, and most people who I spoke to said, oh, she's pretty firm.
Yeah.
So that's not, maybe if we do have that concern, then that's maybe not good.
And it's right-handed. I know she won at Pukekohe as a younger horse over 14, but I think she sort of was guided very well around there. I don't know. I just have a couple of question marks. It's impossible not to get taken by that performance because it's a wide margin win. She smashed them, to put it bluntly. But I just don't know. I don't like taking shorts after a big margin win when there are a couple of things that you have little...
So the All Blacks win by 50, and you think, actually, I've got my doubts about them next time round.
Well, it
Depends who they're playing.
Depends on who they're playing. It's like, England smashing the All Blacks and losing to the Springboks. It's not just A beats C and C beats B.
So you found something. You found something for us. I love this. You've got one.
What is it?
Oh, no, there are a couple in the race that there's one in particular. I think Pin Me Down is superbly placed. I think coming back from Weight for Age, where she was a big run on Boxing Day, down in the weights, I mean, she's not as down as what she could have been, but she's carrying a little bit less weight than that day. I think she's searching now for 2,400 metres. I think she'll run a super race at that $7 price.
Have we been waiting for this, though? I feel like we say this a lot.
About her?
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. She doesn't have a great winning strike rate. She's won 25%.
Now I've said that, she'll lob in, so
I hope
don't
so.
worry.
I hope so. Can you pot her as well?
No, I like it. But once again, it's exactly the same situation as the Isabel Classic, where she's got a horrible draw. And this time she's got a bit more ground up her sleeve. But her run was full of merit on Boxing Day, no two.
Another key form line is, of course, Just Amaze. We spoke of it earlier, and it was, in comparison to Concert Hall, another really tough and strong win.
Yeah, this is a perfect ride too by Sam Spratt, and I suppose that's going to be the challenge is for that to be replicated by Michael McNabb. I'm sure he's riding so well, Michael. I'm sure he's going to be looking to try and do something similar. She just gave the horse a brief breather down the back, but didn't ease too much so that everything sort of concertinaed up behind her. And very well conditioned by David Green. He's just coming into his own, this horse.
Yeah, he just keeps up that strong gallop. There was nothing coming at him at the end of that race. It's a soft win. The thing is, there's not many horses coming out of that race heading towards the City of Auckland Cup, and they do tend to be different races. This is a race where we've seen, horses jumping from massive prices over the years, and horses you go back and say, oh, St. Jean, I don't even remember her. So, there are horses like that who are scattered through the honours roll of this race where you go, who?
It seems like another very open event with regards to your picks. How are you seeing the market and how are you placing your bets?
It's a tricky race, but on what Concert Hall did last time, she'll be beating up on Bangladesh. I'm sure about it. So 5 over 10. I'm going to play her on an each way basis because I thought at an each way price, and I thought again I'm going to put a David Green runner in for second, but I'm going to play Concert Hall.
Yeah, she's up 4.5 kilo. She's giving a bit of weight to Platinum Invader. I wouldn't be surprised if that narrows, but I'm really keen on Pin Me Down. I don't mind Beyond the Fort either. Trained by Bill Thurlow, and he's had a bit of success, hasn't he, at Ellerslie in the last sort of 12, 15 months. But she's a horse that I think, again, is ready for 2,400 metres, and she hasn't had all favours in her last couple of starts at Waverley against the most ridiculous bias you've ever seen, and also at Awapuni. So they're the two that I'm specking. I do respect Concert Hall, but I don't want to take the price.
I think Bill Thurl will be happy about you've said about one thing and probably not so happy about another.
What was the other?
Yeah, Waverley track.
Well, there was a Travelator on it that day that was favoured the horses that were on the inside. It was nature, and that's how things panned out.
I'm going to leave that with a no comment and just guide us smoothly on to a break, and we leave you with a bit of a flashback. Prince Jabeel.
Prince Jabeel's giving a great side. Prince Jabeel's got the favourite covered here. Peso's looking to run on late as well, but Prince Jabeel to win the Pencarrow Start City of Auckland Cup.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Set apart from the rest of the world, enviable bloodlines run the length and breadth of New Zealand, producing some of the very best yearlings on the planet. But you don't get Group 1 winning racehorses purely from nature. There's toil behind the triumph with expert horse people who give the Kiwi bred a true winning edge. The figures speak for themselves. Destined for racetrack stardom, over 1,200 yearlings are on offer at Karaka this summer. New Zealand Bloodstock, where winning begins.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamara Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
Welcome back to The First Call, brought to you by Kamara Park. Just a reminder about the First Call jackpot, which is at $400 this week. Plenty to get people excited.
Absolutely. Already people getting their names out there on the Facebook feed and having bets down there. Make sure you do get on there. Put your best bet down there. Beat us. Or obviously, you've got to get your name drawn out of the hat first, but you get that and you've got a chance of winning the 400.
The most important part is making sure you comment whilst the live stream is on the Facebook page. Let's get you along to the Jameson Park Auckland Guineas, and this is a really interesting one, Aidan. It's a race that I'm pretty excited to see because we get these horses with these different form lines coming together, and who's going to be the best of them?
Absolutely. A horse like Riadini, who's unbeaten in 4, and a horse like Dragon Leap, who maybe should be unbeaten, just veered out, got off stride, off balance, and was run down last time out. So they dominate the market at 2 and 3. Dragon Leap, the blinkers go on, James McDonald goes on, and it's a drifter, $2.60 to $3. I can't fathom that. Star of Bombay, who was so good last time out, $4.50 into $4.20, so must be confidence there. The rest of them, and there's some decent horses there,
even
are
the
at big money.
Forest,
Yeah.
double figures.
Who's gone round in a Group 1 last time out, so yeah, exactly.
What about the speed map? Let's have a little look at that. How did you see it all unfolding?
Exactly. So not a huge amount of speed. I think Our Creed is the main pace in the race. It'll be interesting to see what they do here. My World's a go-forward horse, but I'm just wondering whether they're just thinking, oh, they're getting up in quality here. We'll just see what happens. They've got a wide draw, though. That's going to make things difficult. Frida Shrine led up last time out, run down by Mascarpone. Star of Bombay was somewhere near there. What does it do for these horses back here? Riadini and Dragon Leap. Who gets on whose back? Holy Mongolian. Emperor. We know the horse has got some ability there. He's got to step up from Maiden Company, but there might be something in the tank that we haven't seen yet. But who's going to get who's back? They'll be foxing somewhere in the middle there, and it'll be a really interesting race.
It sure will be. It's a real clash of our 3-year-olds. Riadini is the first horse that we're going to have a little look at in the replay, one of his 4 victories.
This is an excellent run. Emily just pulled out from the 1-1, and when asked to go, displayed just a super turn of foot under Sam Collett. Wasn't asked until about now. And then it's just a couple of slaps down the shoulder, and look at them quicken. And it's that ability to quicken that I think stands him as a very special horse. Now, just a note, if you're looking at the race book, it reads 1:21. That's an incorrect time. Neil Davis publishes the sectionals for Ellerslie, and on the website as well it is correct at 1:22.58, but that hasn't been corrected on the Love Racing site, which means that it hasn't flown through into the racing publications put out via the TAB. So it's not 1:21, wherever you're watching. Like, I know there would be other people that would have timed it and thought that's silly anyway. But it was 1:22.58. But overall, excellent performance.
They do need to remedy that. They need to get that corrected on the website for sure. Dragon Leap was really good this day. Comes up, looks to win, and then as some horses do, they, just for Ellerslie the first time, somewhere down the track, they just start to get things a little bit wrong. And it was costly. Now, Tua Illicit had been behind him and does go past him, so her run was very, very good.
She's gone on from
Yeah,
that, though.
absolutely. But you see him just veering out. He went off stride, and that has been costly.
So they have the blinkers applied, and he has worked in them. He also was there on the Thursday before Boxing Day when they had that track work session. Just another familiarisation with the Ellerslie track. So they have given him plenty of experience beyond that obviously undesirable veer out.
His Star of Bombay, her run was obviously very good. And also Heart of the Oak, who's just been brought to the outside, didn't really want to go to the outside, so goes in. That's with the white face. And Star of Bombay, we expected a little bit more from Super Strike this day, but in the closing stages, she really did just leave him standing. So she looks like she's promising. She'd won by a wide margin the start before, and she hasn't been tested in the last 2, Jason.
I agree. I didn't mind the run of Heart of the Ocean either, as you mentioned. I thought that hit the line. She hit the line really strongly, the daughter of Tavistock. She'll love the 1600, but there's absolutely no knock on the Star of Bombay. That ability to take a position might stand her in good stead. I get the feeling she'll want to get that pair at least advantage on a horse like Riadini and maybe even more on Dragon Leap.
You can see getting your head up a little bit in that video. I see they have put the shadow roll on as well, and the side winkers go on to Heart of the Ocean. So just an interesting couple of tweaks to those gear changes. And of course, the big tweak is the blinkers going on to Dragon Leap, which, you know, it does suggest that they're here to play.
That's for sure.
I'd say they'd be pretty keen to get him in amongst horses rather than having him on a limb out there close to the crowd.
He's just got that ability. We saw it on debut, and like he's beaten home horses like London Banker, who's gone on to win 2, Scorps, who's gone on to win a Group 3. So we like every time that we've sort of seen him, and by all accounts, the talk about him going into Marama, they were talking about his track work being as good as excellence. So before that debut run.
The key thing is that the Derby's the goal, and so they want to be giving him a good experience on New Year's Day. So that experience involves James McDonald with the blinkers on, and so I don't think they'll be firing him up and doing anything crazy to sit outside the lead and try and bully this race. They want to give him a good experience. He's definitely good enough and ready to win, but it's that good experience that's the most important thing. And for that in mind, it's not easy to want to sort of throw him out as being a really strong bet in the race, because he's probably going to be second or third last. And then if he's good enough to release past a Riadini or a Star of Bombay or something else, then so be it. But Riadini's definitely the horse to beat, but short enough at 2.
Interesting race. Like, you've got Sherwood Forest, who's like third to Catalyst and Harlot last time out, and before that was really good in winning the Water Cree. And Frida Shine, who had beaten Lillicoy 2 starts back. Lillicoy went out and won the Group 3 Eulogy Stakes at the next start.
And Mascarpone form as well.
And was obviously run down by Gooden and Mascarpone last time out. So there's a bit of depth to it, but on paper it looks like a 2-horse war between Riadini and Dragon Leap.
And so in that 2-horse war, what are you putting your bets on?
I'm going to save it as a second leg of the double, so you'll have to wait till my bank bets to get into that.
Isn't he?
But I have used those two as the horses, and I am leaning towards Riadini. How about you?
Yeah, 2, 3, 9 and 10 were my numbers. Riadini's the horse I have on top. I won't be using my units to bet. He's short enough for me. I don't want to be taking odds on. He might be very good, and in a post-race analysis he might come out and win like an odds-on favourite, but before the race I can't say that I've marked him any shorter than just over $2, so I can't bet him.
You didn't find there was any value in Dragon Leap's price?
Not quite, not yet, no. You'd need to get well into $3.50 for that to become a decent bet.
Well, that was the Guineas. We'll get you along to the Rich Hill Mile now, which of course is over the 1,600 metres. And looking at the market, we can see Yearn at the top of the page, $6, $9.50 for the Real Beal, $8.50 for Aim Smart, and you've got Prix de Fer 5s into $4.60. We're treated to another very, very open race, aren't we? Aidan, does the speed map have any influence on what you're planning to do?
I think there's a lot of speed here, and so we're looking at horses such as Donna and Billy getting forward, Contessa Vanessa getting forward, Bravos getting forward, and also Gino Severini from a wide gate. I think they've got to go forward with that horse as well. Aim Smart and Demonetisation are drawn to get lovely sits and Yearn to get somewhere around them as well. You've got those wide draws for horses like Pierina, Living on a Prayer, who wasn't that far away in Group 2 company last time out. I think it's got a 7 kilogram turnaround on Yearn for this race, and you know, other horses such as Hello It's Me, Hypnos, Prix de Fer the favourite to get back as well.
Prix de Fer's an interesting horse. Did you like the price around Prix de Fer?
I really like the horse. He's a progressive galloper, but in a race like this, it's just a difficult race. I know, Jason, you were really keen on the horse down to 53.
Well, he opened up at 5, he's $4.60 now, and so look, that I know it sounds like it's only 40 cents, but the price has gone. So he's gone from a marginal bet to sort of a marginal under. But I love his form line. Look at him sort of gallop out and really put this field to bed. It's a soft win. It's funny to say, but he still doesn't look like he knows what it's all about yet.
That's exactly.
Like he's a gelded son of Savabeel, and I know
actually
they
changes
always
a little bit in the straight there, like 3 or 4 times, doesn't it?
Sort of big action, hasn't he?
They had a big rap on him, didn't they, as a 3-year-old, and he just didn't have the rub of the green throughout his 3-year-old year. And I think they're really starting to yield the fruits of time.
Yeah.
And I think he's definitely the horse to beat, but even though he's a back runner.
He looks really genuine.
The Real Beal, that was a good win by her. Can we see her progressing on with that?
She does need a few things to go her way. If you took the 50s this day, and even if you took the 25s, 26s, 31s, you followed Brendan Bothwell, then you know, she owes you nothing. She does need a certain race shape. She has a short sprint only, so she does need to be produced late. Yearn possibly didn't have all favours. You see Pin Me Down wider out on the track. You know, part of her campaign was this. But what do you make of Yearn? Is she able? Are you prepared to bet her to win this race at her price, carrying 59?
It's one of those races I probably will avoid because I think it is so open, but I thought her run was very good. The gap only opened up late when she's trying to get through, and she's in great form. She's just continually run good races. So she's there.
And I know Sam was really disappointed after the race. She thought she could have won. You know, it was her race to win and she just couldn't get out. So, you know, she felt the horse was going as good as it ever had.
Well, I think, you know, the horse is like, you know, watch the space. Even from that video, Living on a Prayer was very good getting down the outside. She's only been beaten a length and 3/4. She meets the Real Beal 5 kilograms better and Yearn 7. So I wouldn't be writing her off, but it's just a race that I've found really difficult. I've defaulted to the favourite Prix de Fer because I really like him, but it's a race I'm going to avoid from a bank point of view.
Yeah, I was really keen on Prix de Fer at $5 to win the race. Look, I couldn't be recommending you taking much shorter than that because he is going to need a few things to go his way. I thought Aim Smart mapped beautifully.
Yeah.
And with 54, gee, I think he's had a really good preparation. This is the ideal race for him from that draw now. He just maps to get a nice soft sit, and he's the type of horse that will appreciate that and will be able to quicken when presented. I just find it hard, as good a form as Yearn is in, this would be a Herculean effort, if I can spit it out, to win with 59, Emily. Win this race under 59. Very, very competitive renewal of the Rich Hill Mile.
It sure is. There is more stakes races on the programme, the next of those being the Valachi Downs Royal Stakes over the 2,000 metres. It is for the 3-year-old fillies and two illicit, $2.10. Just a drifter there, Lillicoy, $3.70 out to $3.90. The rest of the field in double figures. Two Illicit, I've loved since she beat Dragon Leap. Lilikoi, I went back and watched that replay and loved that too. It's tricky between these two.
It certainly is, and we'll get to see the brilliance of James McDonald very soon. But first, Aidan, where do you think he'll be launching his attack from?
I think this is a race where there's a fair bit of speed, but obviously the good draw for Lilikoi means that she's going to get a soft run, perhaps 3 or 4 back the fence with Snow Deal, Shocking Penny getting forward. Gravy with that tricky barrier draw, I think they've got to try and use that. Annie Song's been a horse who's just been plagued by wide draws. I have mapped all the emergencies here because I just wasn't too sure. There were, I think, how many from the Baker Forsman team? There's so many that they might just pick and choose which ones run and which ones aren't. So
you get the feeling Showbeal, for example, might not start.
It's a tricky little tricky. Well, they've got Danielle Johnson down booked for that horse, don't they? And she's been riding. I think she would have had 3 or 4 options. So I'd be.
Oh, Showbeal rather. She's on Snow Deal.
Snow Deal.
Show and Snow and Beal and Hill.
Interesting because Showbeal's run last time out was okay, like it never saw anywhere near close to the inside fence, and prior to that was going okay too. So it is an open race again.
It is. Let's have a look at some of the replays, see if we can talk you into one horse in particular. Let's have a look at Two Illicit, finishing second. Coco Barchi also in this one, Showbeal and Diamonds Galore. Two Illicit screams out 2,000 metres, doesn't it?
Yeah, and look, this is James McDonald just saying to Vinnie Colgan, I've got you where I want you, and now I'm going to ask my filly to show a brilliant turn of foot and have the race put to bed. Look, if you reverse the runs, I think that Two Illicit might go very close, but she was very soft on the line, Jennifer Eccles. I know we're not talking about Jennifer Eccles for New Year's Day, but yeah, she's obviously very good. Two Illicit, great run there. So she's the horse to beat.
Kopecky Road, who Brendan Popwell did tip out on the day as being a horse to follow, wasn't too bad. Got home nicely enough in behind them, so might be one for Miners, and Arla Loon's another one on that boat. Just nothing went right for her. I know she's got it. Just the last 2 runs have been disappointing. Like she's run a quicker last 600 here than Showbeal, who goes out of traffic and goes past her. But obviously Lilikoi, this is what the race is all about, the eulogy.
And the key thing was that Rosie Myers was able to put her into that 1 out, 1 back spot from the barrier. That was the winning of the race, given how things panned out, and they weren't going to be able to run past her because she's so sharp herself. She looks strong on the line, so the 2,000 metres again with a soft trip, I don't know, it's just about a case of if she gets that march, that sort of Jennifer Eccles march on Two Illicit, could she beat her? Quite possibly. That said, Vinnie Colgan, he's going to be pretty keen to turn the tables on James McDonald. He wouldn't want to be beaten by James race to race, I wouldn't have thought, on Two Illicit. So.
I suppose Two Illicit's got that form line as well that's proven. Jennifer Eccles, the Guineas, it's all come together, whereas Lilikoi is having her first start with the big players, really.
Yeah, I mean, without Showbeal we're not sure whether Showbeal will sort of line up there. Yeah, that is fair to say. I mean, Arla Loon, I guess, lines up there and she put her to bed, but in a bigger field, over more ground, it's certainly another test again. But what she's done on the clock, Lilikoi, has been very good. So I'm reluctant to say that she's much inferior to Two Illicit. I do respect her a lot, Lilikoi. She ran open class sectionals 2 starts ago before she won there. She was running sectionals, the Rock on Wood and Shadows Cast on the day. So, she's quality.
Anything in behind those two at double figures that you'd be specking?
Well, Rendition's run in the 3-year-old Salva wasn't bad. That was in the Scorps race, beat home Bergamot and Celestial Nymph.
I like that those horses have been seen over that 2,000 as well.
And that's one thing, especially with the fillies. But that's the other thing about these sort of 2,000 metre races, that those horses on speed do generally sort of have an advantage because, they're thinking, Oaks is only a couple of months down the track, let's find them, teach them how to relax and get back there, and nothing too much really changes. But from what we saw of Two Illicit on Boxing Day, I don't think it really matters. She does seem to be a filly with a lot of upside, and she can accelerate.
I thought Rendition was going to go past them the other day. I thought when Opie presented her that she was just going to go bang, but it was a really tough Scorps or Lee Thinness rather, when he presented her. She was going to go bang, but it was a really tough run by Scorps to fight back. But she'll be a lot better for that run over 2,000. But yep, I'm with Two Illicit, narrowly over Lilikoi. But again, at their early marks, they're pretty hard to sort of get too deep from a betting perspective right now.
Well, it's the Too Illicit camp here on the first call as we get you along to the 2-year-old race next. Let's have a little look at the market for that, which of course features a horse that we've been pretty excited to follow in the number 1, Not an Option, 230 into 2s. Preakness drifted 7s out to 750. A drift as well around Play That Song, 420 to 440. You've got American Princess single figures, as is De La Terre. Speed map, Aidan, what are we seeing here?
I think we'll see a more Whāti go forward as we've seen in the sort of at the trials and also on debut, and Play That Song's another one who'll get up there as well. Preakness draws nice to get a trail, just as he did on debut, and De La Terre, I think if they can get to a spot, some sort of chance. Not an Option is going to be probably 3 back the fence. I wonder whether Leith Innes will want to be a little bit more positive. You can see that horse in the Cambridge Stud colours for the first time. And American Princess was pretty good last time out, so somewhere there as well. Tavan Warrior, I don't know if the horse, I know it got a lot handier at Trentham last time out, but we saw just how potent a finish she possesses when ridden back at Pukekohe at the start before.
Yeah, this is a really interesting map, isn't it? Like, she'll have to do a bit of work, more Whāti, if she's going to get to the front from that draw. I think there'll be a few jockeys on the inside.
Such as Not an Option.
Yeah, and you know, Preakness as well from an inside draw. I think they'll be pretty keen to to hold up there. But you'd like to think that Not an Option could find a 1 out, 1 back spot and be produced and go bang. Gee, really impressed to the eye.
Didn't he?
Sort of not only when he did this at Trentham, but following this, managed to see him again on that Thursday morning pre-Boxing Day session that they had at Ellerslie. He galloped with Endless Drama, and really it was pretty difficult to wipe the smile off Leith Innes' face, and also Tony Pike when he returned after that piece of work.
I just love it here when he says go and he just drops the engine and really powers away. It's hard to do that.
Yeah. He's a proper
professional
horse
as well, which
Yes.
is another really big plus.
You know,
Things didn't go right in that video. Just I kept my eyes on De La Terre again, as I did when I looked at it last. The horse has been good the prior couple. I think she's got a lot to do to turn the tables on Not an Option, but I think she's a place contender here for sure.
This is Play That Song that we're looking at here, winning at Trentham over the 1,000 metres. Now, this was a heavy track this day, but it was the best of them home.
Oh, it's really hard to sort of get a line on the overall performance, except to say that she was tough enough and professional enough to get it done, and you can't underestimate that. Like, they've gone 103.6 for 1,000, so it was it's a proper heavy track, and you can see them really struggling the last little bit, in stark contrast to how Not an Option was able to stretch out on a good 3.
She's got a mind on the job, though, didn't she? Looking at especially their side on it, she knows where the winning post is, and she wanted to carry on going.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, Not an Option has run 100 metres more and only run a half a second slower.
Goodness,
Just to put a gauge on the Trentham
that was
sort of
October though, wasn't
heavies.
it? So
Yeah.
plenty of time to get over that. This is American Princess. Baker Forsman, unusual to see them with an up-and-going 2-year-old. This was a fair effort as well. Didn't go round a horse, but still powered away nicely.
Oh, especially the closing stages was really good from this one. Had one prior. I think you're being a bit harsh on the stable, actually, Emily. They produced Unition to win a stakes race earlier on the season, and they've normally had a Karaka Million runner or two.
Murray's texting.
Murray doesn't do
doesn't
texting,
text.
I say. Andrew will be texting.
Just calls, does he?
I'm just thinking of Caulfield Cups and Derbies.
Well, they're not, especially like we don't see them on railways. That's
No,
one thing.
yeah.
We don't see them have railway runners. But for 2-year-olds, I think they're okay. And I think I've got a bit of an opinion of this filly as well.
Preakness here, winning, and this son of Darcy Brahma, 1 start, 1 win, lost the plate in this. Vinnie Colgan rode up to the 1,200 metres for the first time.
I think the inside draw will really aid this horse to sort of get up and hold the position. So might not have the speed to lead, and I know that you didn't have him sort of leading there, but it'd have to be looking to score the trail at least, I would have thought. But yes, strong enough performance.
Yeah, had won well at the trials prior to that. Getting the rail late was a big help in that race, I think.
Well, you look at a lot of those 2-year-old races, and we know this about 2-year-olds. When they find that rail, often they can stretch. We saw that
It's
with
a security blanket, isn't it?
American Princess at Te Rapa inadvertently got pushed back down there, and then with 100 to go, just really clicked into gear.
Yeah.
What are we doing with regards to what we're spending, or how are we seeing this race?
It's a good race. Some really promising 2-year-olds in it, but I think we've got a rising star among them. So not an option. He's my bet of the weekend. I'm happy to have a quarter of my bank on him for this week. I think he's a standout.
Yeah, he's shortened in from $2.30 to $2. He's the top pick for me as well, not an option. He looks an exceptionally promising horse, and hopefully it's a start of a really positive 2020 for Brendan and Joe Lindsay and Cambridge Stud. They've obviously now bought into this horse, and they've had rotten luck over 2019, so hopefully that's a signal of a really good 2020 for them.
I think everybody would concur with that. Let's get you along to the Dunstan Feed Stayers Championship final. It's over the 2,400 metres, looking through that market. Fives for the number 3, Kaya Kublati Ho. I won't say it again.
Your
$7
pronunciation has
for
been
Paisley
right on
Park.
point.
And you've got $2.90 for Swords Drawn. Aidan, a speed map from you?
Special Light coming out has taken a little bit of the pace out of this, but you'll see that the Midnight Shift will press forward, I would have thought. Babish was able to get on speed and kick pretty well last time. Spring Delight's been a horse who's been there to Stilton as well, but yeah, I think they'll be pretty happy to find spots here. The one thing that, especially those sort of further back and wide, they just want to make sure it's genuinely run.
What are we doing with regards to our bets in this race? How do we see it unfolding?
Swords Drawn's my top selection for the race, but gee, again, he's very, very short. He's a very popular horse. He's been massively punted throughout this campaign, so I'm just conscious that he's short enough. I'm really keen on Lincoln King and Joe's Legacy at prices. Lincoln King was excellent a couple of starts ago at Ellerslie and was very good at Te Rapa in a race that wasn't run to suit. So don't let Lincoln King get under your guard on New Year's Day.
Those who are following the live stream action will always be hanging out for the double, and here it is. We're going the top 5 in the book. Kia Kublak is the horse I've got on top. I want those 3, and then we get into the guineas, which was obviously the 2 that we thought were standouts there, Ria Dini and Dragon Leap. So happy to play 5 into 2 and 10 units spent.
Hopefully you've noted all of that down. That was our sort of analysis of those 6 stakes races, plus the Dunstan final on the programme from Ellerslie. We're going to get you to a break. On the back of that, we get into our best bets and strategies.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Set apart from the rest of the world, enviable bloodlines run the length and breadth of New Zealand, producing some of the very best yearlings on the planet. But you don't get Group 1 winning racehorses purely from nature. There's toil behind the triumph, with expert horse people who give the Kiwi bred a true winning edge. The figures speak for themselves. Destined for racetrack stardom, over 1,200 yearlings are on offer at Karaka this summer. New Zealand Bloodstock, where winning begins.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
In the pod, sports bra, sport car drive, show up.
Really respect True Enough, because he's going to get one of the runs of the race. James McDonald is going to position him wherever he likes from the draw.
He seems to be a horse who's just doing everything right. I like him getting to 2,000 metres.
Too Illicit to run in 4, and True Enough to run in 4 in the Zabeel Classic. $4.
Jennifer Eccles, everybody loves Jennifer today. Second over to Illicit, True Enough, Fiscal Fantasy, and Bowden arriving late. He's done it. J-Mac back in town. True Enough wins the Group 1.
Burgundy Rose is going to be my best at Wingatui, and I'll have a 25-unit outlay. And here's a 15-unit multi for you. Too Illicit to place, Burgundy Rose to win. And going to Awapuni, Heart of Stone would be my best there.
And Burgundy Rose down towards the line. Burgundy Rose is going to score by 2.
Heart of Stone really, really brave on the inside, and the big bets are landed.
huge success for the First Call team. They're good to look back and enjoy those successes, and hopefully we can bring you some more of those this week as we head into New Year's Day. Let's reveal the First Call special for you, and it is around one of our best bets on the programme. Meeting Coda 2, race 3, not an option, into race number 9, the Railway Winter Bride. Both of them to win, a win double, paying $12. Keen?
Yeah, it's an attractive. I'm really keen on not an option. So, and what are you getting on Winter Bride as a final field? Is it 550? Is it? So we're going 11 into 12. So yeah. So we're getting a little bit of.
I think the reason also why that's a big boost is because there's already been decent money for not an option. So it's 230 already into 2, and I know that Winter Bride has been one of the best back runners in futures. So just note, $50,000 is the sell-out liability.
Okay.
So once that hits $50,000, that liability, then that First Call special will close. So if you're watching it now live,
quick.
go now. Yeah.
Get
so
online.
11, when it's at $11, obviously that liability doesn't take so much to click up.
Yeah. And again, we've got the top 4 final field betting. If you're betting top 3, you get a top 4 in the black type races. That's the case.
Yeah, so that's been an outstanding promo as well, paying 4 places.
Yep.
And so that's served the First Call pretty
the
well.
Dunstan feeds 2,400 metre final. That's not a black type race.
But the rest of them that we've previewed today have been. Yeah. Let's have a little look at the race to the 1,000 leaderboard and find out how our team are tracking. Jason Tan, 259 units. Aidan Rodley, 193.6. Brendan Popwell, 5.
Well, I've got to win one of these. Aidan won the first one, Brendan won the second one, so I really have to be hammer down from the word go and try and put it to bed
you've made
early.
a good start, Jace.
Yep, you're ahead.
Well, I'm still 741 short of the 1,000, so there's a lot of water to go under the bridge between now and then.
You've got plenty of time, don't worry. Talking of Brendan Popwell, he was at Taupo today. Let's find out what he's got for us this week.
Hey Emily team, yes, and welcome into Taupo. And they've just put away the DJ desk, so it means I can't actually be bringing you any sort of the big bangers here out of Taupo. But we're on our way to Bangersville with the racing we've got on Wednesday out of Ellerslie. Boy, it's red hot action coming out of there, so looking forward to bringing you the coverage. So we'll work through some bank bets for our racing there out of Ellerslie. Going to the first race of the day, don't mind Loch Winnock here. Happy to just keep chipping away at this horse. I didn't mind his running the 3-year-old Salva. He fought on to run 4th in that race. I'm going to have 5 units to win in the maiden as at race over 2,100 metres to kick the day off for 2020. Moving on to race number 4, the Royal Stakes. It's hard to go past 2 Illicit. So look, I'm going to have a win bet on 2 Illicit, but I'm also going to stick with Kaipaki Road as a 5-unit each way bet. I thought the horse ran to the line nicely to say the horse can run a drum. If it runs 4th, you'll get paid out, of course, but the 20s is there as well. So 5 units each way on Kaipaki Road, 10 units to win on 2 Illicit. Move on to race number 6 in the Jamison Park Auckland Guineas. Going to go with Dragon Leap, going to give this horse another chance. He was just beaten when last presented to the races. Riadini looks to be his biggest danger. I must say it is race. It is full of depth, though, outside of just those other runners. So I'm going to have 20 units on Dragon Leap, and I'm also going to have something for a place in the fixed odds market again, trying to play into the top 4 around Sherwood Forest. 15 units for a place on Sherwood Forest at around sort of 370, 390 mark. Moving on to the Sistema Railway race number 9, and I'm going with the Australian Raider in Winter Bride. 20 units to win on Winter Bride for James McDonald. Impressed with what I've heard since this horse has landed in New Zealand and has been based out of the Tylee Barn, and also with the way the horse was able to scorch the Ellerslie turf there on Boxing Day. 20 units to win on Winter Bride. Going to go to Hawke's Bay and have a little nibble on something here as well. Alexandrite in race number 7, runner number 7. This horse trained by Sean Ritchie, very big in defeat when last presented at Hawke's Bay. 20 units to win on this horse in the 7th. As for my best bet of the day, well, I'm going to stay with that runner at Hawke's Bay. I'm going to go with Alexandrite as my best bet. All the best with your investments over the coming days, and of course we'll see you 2020 at Ellerslie for New Year's Day racing.
We sure will see Brendan Popwell at Ellerslie in 2020. I was hoping for some DJ action. He set the bar so high last
We're
night.
talking about bangers. With dead set odds on, we're going to get a wrap or something like
I
that,
thought,
won't
yeah.
we?
Yeah. On the way to Bangersville, wasn't there?
BP's best bets, bangers,
Yeah.
and bank bets.
It's got a ring to it. It's got a ring to it. What about for you guys, Jason?
I've got 17 seconds apparently to get through these, so take a screenshot of these, either via your computer, your phone or whatever. Gravitel in the first race, excellent bet. really good sectionals out of her previous start. Predefer Aim Smart in the Rich Hill, Pin Me Down Beyond the Fort in the City of Auckland Cup, Volpe Veloce, Dawn Patrol and Princess Keredu in the Railway. My best is Swiss Watch at Hastings, 25 units to win, and a little 10-unit multi with that. Real Beach to place in the 6th. Not a bad win spec either, Real Beach. A little bit outside of the square, and Livy Lass in the 10th. I think a very good place bet. And there are a couple of runners in that race worth considering also, but that's the 10-unit multi.
Okay, I've stuck solely to Ellerslie, so pretty keen on Not Usual Lightning in the 2nd. That's a special conditions maiden. 10 over 20 there. Not an option in the Eclipse. I've got that double we spoke about earlier. Concert Hall in the Cup. Dawn Patrol in the Railway. And Hoist to 5-unit each way in the last. And Joe Topia on our Facebook feeds tipped that one out as well. So hopefully he's in the draw. Have we got the winner yet, or are you going to announce that shortly?
Just hold fire, hold fire, Aiden. We've got my from the bank.
My family,
Do you want to know my from the bank?
What have you taken?
Yeah, I've got Not an Option to win. I've gone To Illicit to win, and then Predefer to place.
Cam Shaw option.
Yeah, nice. There you go. And what about best bets?
I'm going to go Not an Option. You?
My best bet is Swiss Watch at Hastings.
There you go. There they are. Make sure you take a picture or note them down as well. Brendan Popple at the bottom
Green
as
is
well.
good here, Emily. Look at Aidan Rodley there, but green is good in the end.
Yeah.
Profitable best bets for this term, which is hopefully we can keep it there for the whole of 2020.
Exactly.
Is it draw time? Is it the draw time?
It is. God.
Christmas is already gone.
Chomping at the bit here. So I can reveal that the winner of the First Call Best Bets competition is Rob Short, who's got Aim Smart. So well done, Rob Short. You are the best bet for the weekend. So good luck to you. Hopefully Aim Smart
got a decent price
job.
too, so I think he's in front of us already.
If Aim Smart wins, then he wins the $400 bonus bet, which is,
Yeah, 400 to him.
Otherwise it jackpots to 500.
I know, it's getting up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Now the next First Call, I think, is a couple of Thursdays away. So about the 8th, does that sound right?
9th, I think it is.
Ninth.
Yeah, 9th.
Okay.
Perfect, nearly there, one day.
So a little bit
that
of a
leads
break.
us into the Group 1 Living Classic that day at Trentham on the 11th, so should be good, mate.
And it's just hot racing from now on in.
Pretty much is, isn't it, every day. That's it from us. We've previewed all 6 of the stake races on New Year's Day. We hope you have a fantastic New Year's Eve, but don't get party too hard. We need you bright and well, ready for New Year's Day. It's a very good evening from us.